want to win. I want to win. I want to win. To fly away and the world can do me no harm. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. To fly away and the world can do me no harm. Good morning, Christian travelers. Tell me where you come from. I come from the working table, drinking of the holy wine. Well, Peter, James, and John were there, but Jesus Christ was gone. I said I want to win, to fly away, and the world can do me no harm.
I want to win.
I will to view the land.
I want to
win, to view the sea.
I want to win.
Fly away and the world can do me no harm.
I want to win.
I will win to view the land.
To
win to view the sea.
I want to win.
To fly away and the world can do me no harm. I'm standing on the banks of Jordan, looking at the other side. Well, Jesus Christ came walking on the Sea of Galilee. And John the Baptist spoke to him, fell down on his knees, said, I want to win, to fly away and the world can do me no harm.
I want to win.
I will win to view the land.
I want to win.
To view the sea.
I want to win.
To fly away and the world can do me no harm.
I want to win.
I will win to view the land.
Give me to
win to view the sea.
I want to win.
To fly away and the world can do me no harm. Why don't you swing down, sweet cherry, stop and let me ride? Swing down, cherry, stop and let me ride. Rock me, Lord, come and easy. I go home on the other side. Why don't you swing down, sweet cherry, stop and let me ride? Swing down, cherry, stop and let me ride. Rock me, Lord, come and easy. I got home on the other side. Sweet, 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 sweet. Well, went down in the middle of the field. When angels waiting for the chariot wheels. He wasn't particular about the chariot wheels. Just wanted to lay down his heavenly load. Why don't you swing down, sweet cherry, stop and let me ride? Swing down, cherry, stop and let me ride. Rock me, Lord, come and easy. I go home on the other side. Sweet, 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 looking over. Holy Jesus went down and got on board. Chariot went flying all over the sky. Wasn't particular about the bugs of the road. Just wanted to lay down his heavenly load. Why don't you swing down, sweet cherry, stop and let me ride? Swing down, cherry, stop and let me ride. Rock me, Lord, come and easy. I go home on the other side. Bum, 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 ba, bum, ba, ba, ba. I want the promised land. I want the got a home on the other side.
Oh, sweet
down, sweet cherry stopping. Let me rock
you
sweet down,
sweet
cherry stopping. Let me
hallelujah.
rock me, Lord, come and easy.
I
I
got a home on the other side.
sweet cherry stopping. Let me
Right.
Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows they come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home when Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eyes on the sparrow. I know He watches over me. His eyes on the sparrow. For I know He watches me. For I sing because I am happy. I sing because I am free. His eyes on the sparrow. I know He watches over me. His eye is on the sparrow. For I know He watches. I know He watches. I know He watches me. For I sing because I am happy. For I sing because I am free. His eyes on the sparrow. I know He watches over me. His eyes on the sparrow. For I know He
moko lometiwa lefatshe la Judea ajantie dinoti aguakata lehodimo arebatu sokolo lo Johanne moko olometiwa lefatshe la Judea ajantie dinoti aguakata lehodimo arebatu sokolo lo Amen, hallelujah, Oboraro, Montironia, Tatelemorwa, Hallelujah, Babusaka, Bosakute, Babusaka, Amen, hallelujah, Oboraro, Motironi, Tatelemorwa, Hallelujah, Babusaka, Bosakute, Babusaka, we will just rush, okay? We'll just rush. My desire, my personal desire, I know the president present before he present, because what we are presenting here flows from the strategic plan of the Trans-Orange Conference, but the protocol does not allow, so we will do it inversely. Kiruwaka operational plan ya strategy ya Shalom district, okay? I would have loved to rewant. That is about talk. Okay? Now, I would have loved for a beam move. It looks much better, but our arrangement is also very difficult because I don't know you wouldn't see. But then we will rush it through. Shalom District Personal Interest Department, before we actually get into it, the directors, Maloba Personal Ministries, but the department, education, armor, health, all the departments, family life, all the departments. Rabaraga sent the tab. Yeah. What we are going to do, before I actually do the presentation, they will just give us punchlines. Department, just punchlines. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And then we summarize this thing and we are done. We give the president the opportunity to come and present. Number one.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I'm with my wife, Lula Mangubekusha. We are directors for the district family life. Now, my 2 minutes is like this. We are intending to form committees in each and every church. These are called family life committees. The reason for these committees, it is because we have realized there are people in the church that the church is failing to cater for. Now the reason being, we are looking at the deacon and the deaconess and they don't have a lot of brains. But if we have a committee which will divide itself, Katileng Senyana, Honale Maloko Aka Lebelang, the widows, the widowers. Honale Maloko Aka Lebelang, youth is somebody Ibaka, is somebody Lebela Romanaka, Scandala Yana, Lebela Yana. Hotanale committee, le Maloko Aka Lebelang, the new words, Balim Honabanya. And then what na le maloko a tla lebelang bontate mogolo le bokuku ba ba sa kgoneng go ya ko kerekeng ba tla ne ba ba jakela le selallo ba ba isetsa selallo. Now committee eo ka mantswe a mang e tlo lebella gape le youth, because youth ko dikerekeng lebeletso le lebello ke youth department, whereas the kereke tse ding o kry youth leader as in Fuma, you know. But now the committee eo e le teng ya kgona gore e tlhokomele gape le youth. Go na le dilo tse ding gape tse re di lebeletseng, but for now e re ke bue ka yona committee eo le leteleng ye tla mo tseleng le re bazalwane. Amen.
Maranatha Masala. God is good. In addition to what Ndate Mbekusha was saying, we already have at district level the leader for widows. Mawane kupa uemele utemopile. Baba ngo ga ba go itse. Sabbath school. So all the widows, don't sit there in your corner and worry and whatever, stress. Know that there is this lady, Mawane, Agnes. And then we have also the young women's district leader, Mama Shabangu, okay, all the young women. Masabangu, maybe she's outside, but she is also working at district level for young. Thank you very much. Yes. Should I go?
No, we are fine. We are fine. We can give it to them.
No, we are good.
Can I give a
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yes.
Sorry. I'm going to talk about Dorcas now. Dorcas is simple and outreach. It is just another method that is used by women to evangelize. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but we are looking forward to have enough women who can go out there and outreach. And that starts from our churches, where we have those committees. We are working in our committees. We report on monthly to the church first and to the zonal, then district. And the district will report to the federation as we did at Diotla. Thank you very much.
But presently, I see Ribi Reikai. because ko TOC le bona ba sampane ba le busy. But what we have done, let's say a little bit of a database. E leng gore batlholohadi ba tshwana le nna ba mo yone. So ne ke re bomme ba batlholohadi ba ba leng teng ba ka nne ba tla ba mpona anyway ha re tswa I don't know something because I'm not sure what re feletse. That's all.
Amen.
Ngibinga ngigama inkosi Jesu Kristu ne.
Hallelujah.
Lapha ke imele iAmo ku district. So iAmo yona ke ile body lena esebenza ngamadoda in business, men in health, men in the community, men with his family, and then men in evangelism. So whatever we do is to drive, we are more like the engine. So now what we need to do is to drive the church into a direction that God intended ukuthi ibandla libe njalo. Uma sithi men in business, you can tell ukuthi umsebenzi wethu mningi kumele ke sifane even with other bodies like the Hebrews, like Judah, like in business, like Muslim, knowing even including Indians, knowing exactly ukuthi business isebenza njani phakathi kwethu singathathi isikristu kuphela and we ignore our normal life ukuthi senza njani angithi khona manje you can see the world is collapsing and my collapse nathi khona lapho uma nathi sicollapse ayikho into esingayenza kanti bekumele ukuthi by this time bekumele ukuthi sesiready senza lo msebenzi siyachange ibusiness ngoba siyazi ukuthi vele umuntu omnyama was once affected and still affected by apartheid, but we have to restore the thing back again. So ngakho ke singakhohlwa ukuthi ke ikakhulu masiyenza lento siyenza ku-evangelism sireport kuphi ngaphansi kwe-personal ministry isibhekile. So now ukuze ukuthi sikwazi ukuqhubeka kahle siwenze lo msebenzi abantu ngeke beze la nkonzweni wena ungabonakala ukuthi usima kanjani angithi kumele ukuthi nawe ubonakale bakubona ungena bakubona unyathela ukuthi hayi ngempela lapha ke labantu these men bayazazi bayapi sibe ne direction. So may God bless you.
Amen.
Good afternoon, Pastor.
Amen.
Ngiyanibingelela nonke. Mina noMasonto Mavis from Mamelodi Central Church. Treasury we-district. So ku-Department ye-Treasury what we have realized ukuthi iminikelo yehlile because COVID has affected us in a big way. Abanye abazalwane balahlekelwe imisebenzi and then abanye ke sebahlezi emakhaya bagive up abasezi enkonzweni. So ke i-Department of Treasury sihlangene ne-Stewardship siyacabanga ukuthi kufanele ukuthi siye emabandleni sigqugquzele bona labo bazalwane abakhona ukuthi sinikele ukuthi i-pace ye-Treasury iphakame sizokwazi ukuthi sifinance ama-events afana nawo lawa because like yona lena bese sisebenzela esandleni and sehlile isibalo emabandleni sabazalwane so nomnikelo wehlile kakhulu. Ngiyabonga.
Amen Masala.
Amen.
Kinkula from Ramuti Church, was Stewardship Director. Kevereka Mohole, my sister. Our department intention and purpose, Masala, is to encourage our church members to be faithful in stewardship. And then also again, to encourage your members to live, not to live beyond their means. Because the reason why the church is suffering today, it is not because members don't have money. We do have money, God blesses us. You all know that. But the problem is we can't manage our finances and our debts. Therefore, we are visiting churches. If we didn't come to a church, we'll come, probably next year, so that we may be able to help our church members to be faithful in tithe and offering. Are we together?
Amen.
Because we talk money. You can't have a healthy church that is financially healthy if your house is not financially healthy. Are we together? So your house must first be healthy financially, so that the church may also be healthy, because the church begins at home. So the problem that we're having is that Adventists, we have money, but the problem is our debt. We are deep into debt. We don't refuse to return tithe and offering. The problem is we have debt, and that is why we're withholding God's money. So we are visiting churches. Probably will come next year, just to come and see how we can assist the members who are struggling in tithe and offering. Because there's something that you don't know. Your salvation to your financial problem is in tithing. The very same tithing that you are withholding, that's your salvation. I'm not going to say much. Hallelujah, my son.
Amen. Amen. Happy Sabbath, saints. My name is Sister Johanna Mutlabaile Mafura. I'm the Director of Education. I believe that educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And as a district, we all know education department is dead. And you want to resuscitate that as the Department of Education. And the starting point will be that we work together with the communities within the district, meaning that we plan to have centers where we'll be having afternoon classes. We've got professionals within, we've got teachers within who can assist this department and who can assist the communities. And as we all know, and in terms of the book education, we promote holistic education. And as such, we need to work together with all the stakeholders. Our main purpose is for us as a district to have Shalom District School. And we can only manage to do that if after presenting to your presenting to churches within the zones, you support that. And we work together with serious cooperation and prayerfully so. Because this is our mission as a church, that we promote education, holistic education, that will cultivate that original plan that was planned by God. That is my prayer, and we pray as a district that please let us work together. We humbly pray. Stay blessed. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry, cameraman. I'm just breaking the ice. Thank you. We are the youth department. My name is Setsiba. We are then not adopting, but we are following through with the strategic plan of the conference. And I think we know it's the 5 C's. Within the 5 C's, we have the 2 or the 3 pillars in that. It's the spiritual growth, the leadership, and the mission. So it's the spiritual growth. Spiritual growth has 2 within the 5 C's. We have Christ, then it flows to character. When you have made Christ the center of your life, then the character will develop. And when the character is developed, you are able to then, in the church level, leadership, you are taking the leadership as the young person. So these are the 3 already. So the first one is Christ, character, church, and then the communities. When you have then been able to lead within the church structure, within the church establishment, you are then be able to go into the communities as a young person. Now that is the mission, and then you go to commission. Amen. 5 C's: Christ, character, church, communities, and commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amen.
I am humbled to work with such a committed people. So the Lord must bless them. I'm just going to rattle through this. I think they've already told us. I'm not going to say much here, but you see, the strategic plan actually flows from the conference. We actually took this from the conference. And as a district, like all other districts, need to operationalize the strategic plan. Because sometimes we've got documents that end up as documents. Until we operationalize them and know what to do, when to do, nothing will ever happen. Now, there is this. I just want to rush here. For instance, I'm going to rush. just to show, for instance, that when a child comes to the church, when one child comes to the church, maybe comes to your friend, or this is your child's friend who comes to the church, we know that this child obviously has parents, has grandparents, mother or fathers. Now, this screen, I'm just sorry that I can't flight it here, but this screen actually tells how these different departments are going to cooperate and collaborate so that we finally evangelize to this child, to the parents of this child, to the neighbors of this child, and everybody else. And that's how the word can actually spread. The desire is that the district must actually now be busy. I want to skip all these things. I want to go straight to this one. This one chart shows the different departments: music, Adventist, AWM, children ministries, health, education, youth ministries, treasury, family life. I just want to go straight to the key result areas that we have proposed for ourselves. We've got 1, to support local churches and zones in the performance of the delivery of personal ministry services. That's the key result area. Bazalwan, every quarter, we are going to sit and evaluate this operational plan to say how far are we from this operational plan. This first one, key activities to provide support and guidance to increase the number of churches and Sabbath school branches and companies. We want to have more churches, we want to have more Sabbath school companies, we want to have the word or the gospel spread throughout this district. And we've got a target here. Our target is 2 Sabbath school branches established. We've got time frames as well, the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, because this plan is actually a 2-year plan. Okay? Now, like I said already, on a quarterly basis, we will sit and re-look into this. What are we going to need? That's why I was saying, sometimes we do plans, we have documents, but they end up as documents. We just do them once after 2 years or 5 years, and that's it. We need resources. Some resources here, the main one, Treasury and Stewardship spoke about it, the budget. We need the budget. We need to know how much we are going to need to do the Sabbath school branches, companies, and so on and so forth. What are those enabling conditions that are going to make us realize this, that we look at as key result areas? We are going to need support, and I'm saying we already have support from our council. We've got support. We'll need support from ADCOM. I'm sure we have it already as well. We are going to need support from all the other stakeholders. All right. The second one is implement evangelism report cards. You remember those cards that we used before? Kosa skolo. More than some Eastern and Tolamudi. Papa Mizal ne? Bible start. Papa Mizal we need to resuscitate those so that Sabbath school, people should be eager to go to the Sabbath school. And they must be eager to do some work because they know somebody is going to look for some report from them. Now, if we do that on a quarterly basis, and you tell me that we've got 10 souls this quarter, is that not a bone-fattening report? Just to know that we as a church are now busy with the mission of Christ. Because I think we are busy with many, many things, but this. Now, we are also going to manage the establishment of a district city church. We spoke about this as well. It's already busy. We've got a lot of stuff that we are going to need here. Stakeholder cooperation. We need service level agreement signed. We are looking at tangibles, by the way. Your objectives. Your objectives must be smart. Again, they must be simple. They must be measurable. They must be attainable. They must be realistic. And they must be time-bound. You can't say you're going to open a Sabbath school branch. When? Before Jesus comes. When is that? So our objectives must be measurable. We can't talk about good things, beautiful things, things that sound well in our ears, but unrealistic, not realizable, not smart, not time-bound, controlled by the wind. The fourth one, I'm rushing, data acquisition. You see, until you know how big the problem is, you will not know how to manage it. First, we need acquisition of information. What problem do we have? The fifth one, we need to have corporate special prayers. You see, today we're praying big time, right? We need to have special prayers. Le tlo magala mo district re tlo re ka phedi ya hore ka beke ya bobedi re kopela hore re rapelle seketeke, so that corporate prayers can make us better in the mission of God. And then we're going to manage evangelism. Pastor Lal, this thing has been approved by the ADCOM, has been approved by the management board, now the entire church now, that the first week of every month, it will be evangelism in all the churches of the district. And when the quarter ends, it will be good to get reports. And then we had it here actually, number 7, conduct a district-wide revival weekend. This one has been realized already. I'm skipping all this because of time. You don't see what I'm skipping. Okay. Right. I've got different departments here, got armor, got family life. Now, when all is said and done, I've just tried to summarize. Proverbs 16, verse 3. Commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. Now, this plan, we would want to pray for it. I know it will be criticized. The first one who will criticize it is Satan. Now we must bring it to God in prayer so that the Lord can make it realizable. Amen.
Wa itse ke godile ya and wa itse ha o gola mahutsana khutsagalo ya eketsega you add more sorrow to your life. So mare ke itumetse presentation a lona mo, it was very good. Yeah, mare ka bona ka rora re la rutega. So and I always get overwhelmed by actually how to deliver the message. Ne ke bolella moruti Maqengane le Baliso ke re la itse keng. Paul and Barabbas were not called to preach the gospel that relates known facts.
Okay.
But they were to use known facts to usher Israel into the new dispensation.
Okay.
Kore ka mantswe a mang, ne tshwanetse ba butswise kereke ya Modimo
Okay.
to arrive at the intended purpose. Yaanong ke re rona setse re godi kana le nna ke thomile boruti bo lentswe la ka le sesane. And nna ko ke na le complexion e ke tshwana le Mam Kondo.
Oh.
Yaanong ano a wa nne ke lo pila. Ne ke lo pila ke thoma evangeli. Ale ka fisa ke letsatsi yaanong la mpona ke tshwana le Ntate Mkhondo, more or less. But there's something e leng hore like it pains my heart. And ke butsisa Modimo ke re Modimo o le Modimo yo nabileng jalo. How do you give us 70 years to understand who you are? Mara ke tlhela le gore nya ruri Modimo a ka se fetole tsamaiso le hodimo ka baka laka. But sometimes Joshua ko le letsatsi ema la ema so a kitse so the planets are conference re se ka senya nako a ke tlo bolela ka tsona ka hore ka nnete tlabe ke le senya tsa nako o itse nako re le ba banyane ko pola ba thomo re rekela di raincoat a kitse ke ngwana mamu likeness tsela tse grey santse re tshameka pulanyana re sa re tshameka mo pela mamuke go le mole pula shila yana no nna ka re reka tse di raincoat ra shiana ro di reka ha o bua ko ha pula e fedile letsatsi la fisa le tsona di a melta no kona mathata bo ngwana hore bjano a ntse o hola bjana wa iputsisa hore mara sorry ibuile all right how do you summarize these important things to create an impact that it should make? Kenekera brother Sidney Musimege kere the way re ithutile Bible ka teng ke yona ntlha e causitseng spiritual death. We are not dead spiritually because we don't read the Bible. We are dead spiritually because we read it in a way that saps out the spirit. Bona man, the disciples have never bare Jesu. They don't know what happened of him. They thought he's the Messiah. What? But let's go back fishing. Ba apostatize rema batli. Never sa khoso ko re ha ba itse mangwalo. Never khoso ko re ba dumela ka Jesu ho ya ka toloki ya mangolo a ba Farasi le ba Saduki. So then ire Jesu abuela to the scriptures. And then aba quotela in such a way that the interpretation breaks away the prejudice. It opens up the eyes and revives the mind. Now, le rona ke shara le Ntate Mkhondo hangata prophecy wa itse le ena ene re shota nako ha re bolela re man ha re itse masala the way re rutilweng Bible ka teng le bo prophet ke lona le baka la ho robala ha rona. Because we are comfortable over nothing. Har ne re le di feiye tse tshwantse di beye di thulwana. Summer comes, re ntsha fela matlakala. There are no fruits. But when we correctly, I was reading the Great Controversy, ke ngwetse quotation ya teng mo during the week. It will like a wheat leaf. Because nekebala the 10 toes. I go to spirit of prophecy, I want to understand. Whitleaf had an intention. I translated the Bible in the common language of his countrymen. The Bible as the only ordained instrument by God for the liberation of the people. Because the Bible, if correctly read and understood, it's a means of revival and reform. Hallelujah. Really the inheritors, it's a Western civilization. How and when are we going to be the priests and the kings of the Most High God? Amen. I think it's page 98 on the Great Controversy, the original edition. John Wycliffe. All right, so, our business model. Now, business model is you cannot have vision, mission, key performance areas or indicators, and all those things. Also, bolele your business model. You know, now our business model as the conference is a stewardship model. Now, stewardship, sustainable development, stewardship of business. In other words, we should not just be capitalist without a conscience. We should make money. We should do things not looking at one isolated outcome, but the outcome must balance the environment so that the next generation may make better life out of what was the resources for us. But you know, when I look at the Bible, when it talks of the merchants, it says the merchants are those who take without giving equal value back. They are the merchants, the business people. Barekisa chepis. Wanaka selo jaraba. Kabushu rekeng 20 cent I build a stock market equity. When I saw how go jaraba. How cool. Those are the merchants. The business people of this world, they want to take without replacing the source. Now, more conference what you call a stewardship model of operation. Now, by that, what we mean, neketali direla di slide on these things, but ke batla khono summarize letla dikere tshepo o tla le romela ne le utlwisise the business model. Okay, goals, objectives, all those things, the business model. Yeah, no, business model high like a stewardship model. It will allow sustainable development. We must acknowledge that the church must not be richer than its members. The members must not like Rona Nerdira Kotulo. Di petlela tsa kerekero di kae di petlela tse seler di re di kolekela le di old age le di orphanage di kae ke tsela set commodity ha re itse di ko kae rena re setse the poorest of the poor anke be se granta Ramaphosa gitseng ke berle kae okay ska ba botsa mothasa sa shunte beletse ska ba so re bolela ka the healthy development. Now, healthy development of any organization depends on the healthy balance of the sense of being of its employees.
All right.
In other words, if you've got disorientated employees or disorientated people, you cannot have a healthy organization. You can have good plans, paste them everywhere. Marhaba to how? Basa balansa mo bothong ba bona. Anything is good plans and operations. Ke botho.
All right.
Ba mo tsamaisi. That is why Ellen White, there are two types of educations that we need. It's an education of the heart and the education of the head. So the education of the heart of the head can give you qualifications and positions. But it is the education of the heart that will disqualify you from your position and disqualify you from your education. So what tlhokahala re be le that balance? Le mo kerekeng re ka ira ditlhopho ra re nyaka tswelopele mara ke botho ba ditokologo bo bo tlo dirang gore go kgoreletsege go tswela pele in any institution. Ra kgetha badala ha re fetsa kgetha badala ra ba bogola ra kgethiwa go wena o Sabbath school ha re fetsa re attende kereke. So go sa rutege ga maitseo a batho ke se kgoreletsi segolo mo tswele peleng ya ntho ye nngwe le ye nngwe. So that is why then re tlhoka education of self. Now what is self? The Hebrews regard self as lebab, and that means the will and the intellect. Kore ka mantswe a mang go kgona go rata seo se kgethileng e le se se molemo. Please be honest with it in your mind. What you understand as truth in your mind, be honest with it in your heart. So that is why then chapter 24 verse 45, the book of Luke, then Jesus began with the scriptures. He quoted and revealed truth to them using scriptures. And but didn't our heart burn within us as he was talking to us on the way? Now that thing, he used the scriptures, the knowledge of the scriptures, to link the mind with the heart with the decision power, the decision power with the muscle power, the muscle power with the heart power. And they were moved to say, man, le towards sunset, we are going back. So you see, the heart must be reconciled with the head, with the feelings, with everything. And the Greeks called it aisterion. Actually, Greek, I use this linguistic expressions to can sip out the gist of the truth. I agree one. Look at Stranangai Marata Raga Rute Hanga Buestran. Now, how we live aisterion, how we live irrigada self, it's about senses as the organs of judgment or perception. In other words, self for the Greeks is the mind. The mind symbolizes self. Now, self of the heart, therefore, talks to individuality, or actually the reflexive consciousness or interests of a person. Wabona o ka nna bolela nnete, mara e sa kgatlhe motho ga e re sepe. O ka nna bolela ka maleme a baengele le a di-dragon, mara ha e sa tsikinye maikutlo a motho ga e re sepe. A ke re bona ke ntho bjang. So ha re bolela mona reflexive consciousness, kore ka mantswe a mang motho tshwantse wa itse a ke lebale nako e ke nyala mmagoneo. Na le mme mong ba bomme ba kile ba bua wa itse go ga ekwa ba lela ya kere mme yo ha bolela re banaka le beng le ditlhong di aga motse ha batho ba aga motse ba sena ditlhong motse o ga ona go ema a ranke le itlwaetseng go tshaba batho ba tla re ba itse bo mpona ka kanaka bona ke na le miririnyane mešou le nna naka o ne stay mara ka lemoga ka re itse mosadi la sena BA mara ka o bolela mosadi moholo o botlhale ditlhong di aga motse ba gaetsho yaanong ge ha re lebella mona botho bo a rutega pelo ya motho ya rutega mme pelo ya motho e rutegileng ke le tlotlo le le tonna because pelo e rutegileng ena le maitseo a eleng gore o ka ikanya a ke rona le batho ba bang ha ba bona batho ba bang ba itire ka re ba betere and then whenever ra wa ke tlwetse motho mo so costing vatere o rile kano raskele masakha jakalas So re tshwantse o tlhaloganya gore se re se batlang ke gore re a utlwisisa re dira bo strategic plan bo strategic whatever bo executive what and operative what bo management what mara ha pelo Bible re bollotsana e bo ferefere ha pelo e sa utlwa ga gona mo re ka tswelang pele teng so then gote botho bo bo rutegileng bo tshwantse o rutega mo dikarolwaneng di le dine tsa bophelo ba motho self-support, self-reliance, self-sustenance, and self-propagation. Now, self-propagation simply means how jala moba o tsaya karolwana ya moba e butsitseng o e tsenya mo mmung e tla mela and then go tswetse dintseng chakere wa itse maloba last year ne ke jadile di ginger go jarteng di ginger le turmeric ka o botse ya nong go ntse o di epile a ke re bana ba itse o tshwana la ha ba bona mmofu ba re ke inkomasi lena a itse ginger e ka tswa mo jarteng yana ke re die dilo tsa ka di kae a re o ba di tlhagotse ba re ke di tshile a ke mmotsisa rawa ke batho ba ne ba koloma ka jarta ke re o maka ka o bolela di ginger tsa ka le di turmeric di le kana ka motlase di le kana ke re ke nna ke di check le one ba ne ke rile le di garlic ke ja garlic tsa gardenaka bianong ko re ka mantswa ma self propagation ke hore ha re ka o tseya ra batla your neighbor abe like you will you trust your neighbor yeah? So self-propagation simply mean ha re bua ka go dira tiro ya modimo re nahane hore re modeletse batho gore ba tlo tsama mo rena re tsamaile mo teng a ke tsere utlwanana so ha wena sa khotsofala ka wena why onana motho mo ntshwantsa tshwane le wena so then o ra re botho ba hao bo tshwanetse o ruteha o fitlhella go na le reconciliation in all the systems of your being. Now, self-sustenance gore o kgone go itlhokomela gore ka mantswama ha re ipalla re tla a re ro thusa batho ra ipalla ditlhako di sekame wa bona that is why when I bolela the book of Malachi, this word malak doesn't only mean an angel sent, but malak means overflowing. That is why barhaba bolela mola Acts chapter 1 yamna o tlaneng re nna ne mare mampele le tshwantse le be dipaki tsaka but before that go and wait and you be fully filled. Kore ka mantswama you must be what is to be fully filled is to be fulfilled. What is to be fulfilled? Fully filled. O tswa go ha go wa ngongore ha ka novela ha o tswa mo isa dithapelo ka pelo e sekame kore ka mantswamere ha motho a khotsofetse mo botho when you are fully filled that's when you can go out and minister. An empty cup will never fill another empty cup. It must be fully filled for it to can serve another. Lord have mercy. Now that is self-sustenance. Now self-reliance. Self-reliance means haritse ya the decision. Reskara tshwana di katsetsela tsa vela p kana ke vela p ma o tlhokofetse man vela p wa ko temba tilotsa e ila re tshwara ka story sa katse dire a ele mago tlaranya go ira katse yana le go tlelele la ra reke mtloko ha itla ke na ke kukwile ka ena are oh well build a cat agree one yana gore ka mantswamang magotlo a krile plane pila mare banong ho rumiwa manko katsi we tsenya tloko. So then self-reliance means that when you decide, it means you've got the capacity to carry out that which you are deciding on. Otherwise, it's a pipe dream. Why is it pipe dream again? Baroko Jamaica mutatsu bile mata kwa nanti modi mampeto ka morumu. Ha fetsa o bea stompi kwa. Di mmetha mona. Ha a re o itshwara maoto o lebetse o ntse mo dimampeto. Bjane wa iputsisa gore ba mo kgaotsene maoto. A ke re o lebetse gore o itshwara bjane. Ele he bana. Ba nrepile maoto. So then self-reliance simply means when you make a decision, you can be counted on its delivery. So di kereke di a sokola, le di theo di a sokola. Ka go dira di decision, le batho ba ha tshwantse di implementiwe. Ba re nna ne ke sa re yalo. Ebo kry only one person. Ile ana byanong e kare ebe ba re o itira better. Ba salwane re tshwantse o itlhusisa gore gore ka mantswe pelo self that is not affected and impacted by the dynamics around it is the greatest obstacle in any organization. An insensitive self is a curse. It's about time, my sister. Tell them. Okay. Another aspect that must be educated for any organization to move is the aspect of self-support. What is self-support? You know, Hanarira accounting ko wa itsitla ke lebotse nna ke brave yampe. Ha ke ira LLB, ha ke ira criminology. Na ke dirla accounting. Ke tamilo bona accounting ko university mara ke pass it. Se ka madoda score. I ka botsa nna. Now the principles I know accounting it's simple. You must mirror. When there's a debit, there must be a credit. When there's a credit, there must be a debit. So skalewala. Oh, bara bauk. All right. Kama pokoto. Hona lengwe ya mola ka. So then it means now any decision that you take, for it to be sustainable, you must have a balancing capacity. Ha go te go shota mo. Oscar yona nerero roaga kereke ka or Dr. Setsiba na le mo ba no transfer tso go mabopadi. Kereke la ha isa tlaloka. Whenever we make decisions, we must be self-reliant. I'm not going to turn away from what I believe is right and it's good. And then we must be self-supporting. Kore ka mantswa mahare re dira selo se. Are ben le gona go emela le sa se correspondent le so. Ska ra ba batho re no nna ne ke le ke tlapia fela ne ke sa re ke tlatla le cabbage. Wa o nya kwa pia dijo tsa ma. O tswana le batho ba ya go diphitlhong ba emela ditie le dikuku ba sa tla ka selo. Le ka tsore ha le ma le tlhoka faletse mano no paka dikukunya la le ka skaftini la le tse 10. O no ya ka tsona e bo emela tie re hape ke tliste dikuku. Ha o ra motho re a eme. Ebe lo re o emela se wena o se rile. Kore ka mantse ke self-support. So self must be educated along these 4 lines: self-support, self-reliance, self-sustenance, self-propagation. We compose. How about to botle mo kerekeng ya hao nke ba tshwana le wena? How far would we have gone? So a re lebelle mo hore stewardship model focuses on the emphasis of educating self. Kore ka mantswe a mang ha go the greatest resources in any organization is a human resource. Correspondingly, the greatest trouble in all organization it's human resource. So when we are properly educated, when we properly understand how we must project ourselves, the great controversy, this is the spiritual support of what we are saying. The outcome of the great controversy is based on the well-rehabilitated the well rehabilitation of self through the word of truth. Agree one. So mona, and then Genesis 3 verse 15. Cover the outcome of the great controversy. Why take a rata so sen le sibua hanne le tswa Bethele le re gadisa rena re sa itse Bethele gating le re balla le re the only thing that we will take away from this world is character. So the aim of all education is character education, or character education for character formation. Again. So then, even in the great controversy, Modimo o benkile, mo batho ba batla ban le botho bo bo tlhabologileng. Botho bo bo rutegileng. Head knowledge and heart knowledge. A ke tsara utlwisana, o ska nna motho o rutegileng mo tlhogong ka lelemele le tala ka pelo e kgopo. O be motho o balansang mo bothong ba hao. Wa itse ke tla ke re batho ke re wa itse nko o be le pelo entle o jelwe pelo. Gore man le mama le mogaditswane wa itse o re batho ba ka nkgata ha ke le starag mara ha ile novela ena ke a itse tla nkemela ke fete. Wa e bo tshepele ke bo mogaditswane wa itse re le monangwa o kwa motho slege ha o ka solome mo na ka solomo le slege. Okay. Now, Genesis 3:15. Go tla ba le letlhoyo magareng ga peu ya gago le peu ya gage. E tla pshatla tlhogo wena o tla iloma seriti. Now, when we look at that, then we realize that the head of the serpent will be crushed by those who are irritated or zealous or with stead minds to do what is right. Okay. While the bruise on the heel will be done by the breakaway in the rank of the army of Christ, which will happen when those who were trusted are placed at the back. Only to find that they've got immature personalities. When on Judas or register Jesu Garnasa do Melor Jesu Moramudim. Umutin, Haro Mualana Calabot. Argatamunsa Sanan Leso. Agero no, Elevel Leso, Nevaja. Abar Ekaje Kuitiki worried. Wariaki. Omualana Tlante, Otlankek. Utlawek. Agen Namre. Agen Namre Bachikaso. Agen Namre. Yanung. Wala wona rubetse mo haufilen. Ara ke nalwe ara ko tlo jan le nna ka. Okay. Yanung yana ara are ke tlo jan le nna ka. Ebe taba tseo di fika mo Judas. Judas are si bilo ranna. Ke tla monts. Abanga la tswa tsama. Are le mpha bokae? Oh. Le mpha bokae? Ara tla fa 30 a ke tse 13 le bokae? I see. Judah, that is why I regret I pang, because he was acting on irritability. So you see, sometimes realwana mo dikreken realwana mo gae ka o bolela mantswe a bushula lo tsia di decision respond to irritation. Then that way re ba di diriswa tsa Satan. Ha tshwantse go kope tshwarelo wa hana marakana ko livile life angedi livile la unity livile la fellowship le a punch. Then now you bala chapter 32 verse 20 the other erego ba le yona o komona irritation. Those trusted at the back succumbing to irritation. Gore ka mantswa mang ga wa itse la sitse story sela sa di fudu di tsamale se bare Bad. The food did some lessoir. The choices were. Bare no scavata mobu, lavaca we ray. Oh, let's say I got like it's our fit. Lona leads. Okay. Young or a reckon or for Baba Iti, Baba Saiti. How do you fit a molavana Maria? Bonanse. So, but the food is tola wena. Bonanse wa pelas wa ya So I'm sure ne le letla metlo la buruga. A be le re bo malena. Le rabo malena. Ele ka le ka se tshwareleditse ka selo. Segwagwa se tshwareleditse ka molomo. O ko te an ka se re phuhatse. So how only a leader? You know this thing I learned. I learned over time. All right, again, in the boardroom, don't let irritation substitute your intelligence.
Okay.
In the boardroom.
Okay.
O se ke wa letlela maikutlo ebe e kare ke standard sa botlhale ba gago. So as long as on the point, just decide to close your ears and focus.
Okay.
If you don't have that maturity, o tla tshwana le Ahimaaz. Wa mitse Ahithophel. Lentswe le Ahithophel, Ahi, brother, Topel, fool, brother of a fool. Ahithophel gote ne ba mitse gore o botlhale. Ba ne ba re ke mangaka ya ngo mo sabotage. I think Hushai are David are Hushai tsama. Ha re 1 or 2. Na ra itse re nyako mo flopis. Wa ukwisisa? Okay. So Ahithophel gote a ngala re batho ba go tloganeng ke le style. Ha itla go ga a ipolaya. Lefoko le Ahithophel means a brother of a fool. So when you are a leader, when Oscar, for example, Oscar ngala ka jeko ka usane wa re ne ke kwatile. Learn to be consistent. Okay. And for you to be consistent, or my child, give me your heart. For out of it comes all the issues of life. Kore ka montswamang o kope modimo a go tshware, o rutege, o shogege, o be dependable. Make your point. Wa itse nna je wa itse bopa ko ba itse. Ngwana ha tlalla ne re rara be dillo rara ba polelo.
Okay.
It's either one like a power bulele. You can't do both of those things. Kawut, bana barna ba itse. A re batho ba byalo. Ngwana nyenye. Bianong le rona mo boardroom, we need that maturity in our meetings, in whatever we do for the Lord, in our relationships. We need that maturity. Kore ka montswamang nkampane ha o kwatile o rapelle modimo re morana ke kwatile. Help me not to sin with my mouth. Wa bona Psalm 17 verse 3. Bolela mo I vowed that I will not offend with my mouth. Yeah. So how we lebella mona irritasi, then irritation e re bolelang ka yona. It's that it causes an itch in the skin. And on your skin, something is agent while it is not. And then mona from the Latin word irritus. Irritus means to make invalid. Okay. So none are responsible. How long ala mo church botong o tsaya bana o tsamaya? Ramakalo motho a mofuta man. Bazalwane, botho bo bo sa butswang bo a peisa dipotsa. Kae kapa kae. So, but then, in terms of Genesis 3 verse 15, it makes null the commandments of God. So, Deuteronomy 32 verse 20, it will allow to be forward. Now, to be forward is not to understand adversity, not to have patience in the moment of testing. Not to understand that the balance of life is made by summer and winter, night and day. Kore ka montswamo ska ba o wena ha o jile ka o jela ice cream. Okay. We understand gore tsatsi la ro bala ka tlala le lona le teng. Marase every day. Adversity doesn't last forever. Storms are not there forever. Le kana go la memo. Are no thala monna salele na bereka no tlo mo jela pension. And what if aka shwa ha fetsa o shwa monna ba nyala mosadi mo ba ja di-pension tsa ba botlana motho a sa irisile a ne ke re bona no ya no ka o tlhalla monna re ke matlhalela ha pension ile o tlo reng so ona le dilo tse ding they seem urgent and important only because we are in a certain phase of life. But there's no permanence in our claim. There's no permanence in our claim. It's a pride of life, the pride of life. Because utaba maybe only the figure. Mataga ba mare na di figure a tshwantse di senye.
Okay.
Evo wa uria. No. Why it's mo le fase? That is why re reka di go black. Re reka di go black, mara we will never go back. Bible re moriro motshou ke maemo. Mara rena ra o lwantsha. Ke bone sister ka mona ai ha nna thomo ba le gray hair. Yes, na le pile ka re ke it's a diamond nyana. Mara ka bona ra khona. Au bolaya. Hone ba no montshuntsho. Mara mengwa ha yona I. So sometimes we want to make issues of things which will evaporate with time. So then, let's learn to make distinctions between things that last and things that don't last. And the things that don't last, when they fly away, let's just say, Morena, there's nothing wrong. It happened because it is bound to happen. So then, in our interactions, Bazalwan, are the matured sense. Skeraba, irritable. Then when you are forward, you say, So those who respond in a way that causes the gains of the gospel to be reversed are the forward. The word irritate is from the Latin word irritus, and irritate in law means to render a thing null and void by the act of responding to an artificial itching. Sometimes batho ba bolela la debate ke mo di meeting ke mo ka wa bona re batho ba ba o gogela gore o kgeloge. Ka motho a re ya nngwe ka nna. And then it clare o kantira ngwena. Clare church bote senyile, business meeting senyile. No, don't respond to irritation. Ha motho a asa kore ka mantsama a o kreye only one way. O skaya up and down. That is why don't answer all questions from a fool. Because you will soon sound like him and there will be no difference. Okay, such people are known to the Lord. Psalms 101 verse 4, and shall depart very soon from him. Matthew 7 verse 21 to 27. It is such people shun to build on the rock. That is, they shun to take up the work with the understanding that they are called up to face adversity or things that will seek to nullify their standing. Wait, see, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, more revelations like me. Like me. But in all these things, I find it that there's a thorn in the flesh. I prayed about it, that the Lord must take out this thorn in the flesh. But the Lord says to me, my grace is sufficient to you. Now, here is something that we must learn. Whenever you are given responsibility, wherever you are given responsibility, there are those people who will vouch to undermine your influence. So, Paulo are, le ga ke dirile ka matla le matsetseleko le manwantlhotlho a itlhomileng ko pele a o tla ikutlwa re molo uzathatha la uthatha khona ushiyela go na le batho ba bang ba ha o dira so se se molemo ba re nxa re tla bona o tla fella kae wa itse gore le LFM e thomile bjalo ko kwatisa ke dilo tse pila ebe ba duma e ka reng ke be le bona ebe ba palla ke ho ema ba emela nako ya dikgetho tla ke le botseng nna la o itlako le hodimo nga ka shwa pele ha ka o butsega ba riele no I never campaigned to be president never ya nunge ona le batho inyawai motho mo se aka setso mo stulong se bona ba dirile dilo tse pila bja hore ba ka setso a re ba ntsheng moya Satan o thomile go le hodimo then how we live whenever you are given a responsibility you must know how succeed there are those who will want to remind you that you are nothing so how batho bao ba ipontsha ba ske ba go offend they are a thorn in the flesh wena hopola promise ya modimo my grace is sufficient to you when they make you weak it's when you will be strong so then ka ile mo ga ntwe gore ntwe ke se twaedi ka mara kereke ya modimo go bolela hampe ka ba etapele ke se twaedi to make them nothing le bona ba re wa itse Ellen White a ke lebetse ke mo bukeng e feng a re ne ba emetse monna ha ya tlorera wa makalo monno o tswile ko ha ya sa bolai ke mala o tswile ko ha ya sa tshwara ke flu wa e sele re the Lord is in his holy temple 5 to 12 5 to 11 11:15 abara yemon ako o cheka mothola o ba ko ka ha yo ko vest the Lord is in his holy temple ola wa ha yo ka mo vest tsa mo mothola ko toilet let all the earth keep silent akere ba itharu ba tla tsena ba nyonyo ayo afika what can we really mothol are ke tlela kwen ba go toilet ba kra walla ndengis James White awalla la imuna ba go irile mpa akere itse basadi ba ratang go reka banana ba stronger than their husbands basadi skela tsena ntwa tsa bontate le na bontate sala tsena tsa bomme ba tla le kadima di honoroko tsatsi le le atwal biano how to ya no re molato ha o ke are no pelo aka e utlwa botlhoko ha ke hopola dipolelo tsa batho ba ka nna hore biano I must overlook all the hurting and pretend like all is well. I don't have courage to preach to such people. Now these are the thorns in the flesh who want to humiliate you every time, remind you you are nothing. Bazalwane, this is the fruits of an uneducated self. Mara, it's a self that is used by the devil. Hallelujah. Such people nullify all that God is being doing. The gains, they bring them to nothing. Isaiah 28 verse 23 to 29, Psalm 94 verse 11 to 13, Matthew 11 verse 28 to 30, Genesis 4 verse 11 to 12. The lost husband. Now, ha re bolela ka stewardship, responsible stewardship. Re tla tlhaloganya fa gore tla ke le botseng something from Revelation 2 verse 5. E re bolela more ha o sa sokoloi ke tla ke tlotlosa your light. Tlotlosa your candle light. Now you see your candle light ha ke tlosa where you will be counted but with no influence. You are still alive, but you are no longer effective. The salt has lost its saltiness. mara o nyako kgethiwa o nyako ira mara o sana taste le rona re le kereke modimo re tla dula ntse re na le di-statistics re na le good reports re na le mara re lositse credibility. Now you see self regard like regard a precious jewel because it can turn to nothingness all the good plans that we had. Hallelujah. All right, 5 minutes. I want to sona se nne ke le botsa sona. Amare ke tla felletsa mo fanaka.
Okay, all right.
Dara mula bona mare ke na le progress. So hare lebella mo ruka bare Cain. And you know it's so sad arukusis. Cain sacrificed Abel to the devil. And we still have such people. The Bible says the blood of Abel still speaks from the ground, even today. Now, Isaiah 26 verse 4. Isaiah 26 verse 4. Yeah, Gigi, number 1. Isaiah 26 verse 4. Ariel ke lebitso le Jerusalem ne so skare Ariel ke Jerusalem. All right, 26 verse 4. Mohulwana wena o haufi mara why motho a para di brele ya di bia motlhong a sa di
26 verse 4.
Kapao chep maybe wa chepa mo re ba le yona mfanaka.
Trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength.
Obalamang
Isaiah 26
verse
4.
3.
Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee.
Fuck off. Ay man. In tatlhegetse. More the prophecy on Ariel. I say Isaiah 26. Oh, all right. Get a level before they are high. I see on it right. Prophecies on Ariel. You shall be humbled and speak with a low voice from the ground, like the gods. The man gave at her. Okay. Yeah, Kalobot. So, and no, Korea Magata, why it mixer. All right, then, how we level Lamo, Mudimu, war router, Kaine, who sacrificed the brother Wahai to the demons. Why? Because Satani, high salary, you shall not surely die. There was no death. Okay. And then until Cain decided to kill his brother. And then 4 verse 11, the ground that received the blood of your brother is cursing you. Agrobo, Korgamanto Mamari, will be less tireless and buy a donkey. What? Yeah? Isaiah. Oh, my sister. Yeah, man. Korke dyslexic. Dialects. Lena, yeah? Quicker shot remedial. Yeah, Isaiah 29 verse 4. Yeah,
And thou shalt be brought down and shall speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that had a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the ground, out of the dust.
Yeah, why you come, Marwana or Vadima Babulene. Shukwambo Shabulavul. All right, get out the man. Now, more the word devils here, it's used as Sayir. Kurkamanchaman, we kohomusho. Honamutu o Hohumuhanyaka le wat. Harele batu bakaichu, Arituten Honabatu Babanan Lebotu. Bobo Kalemele Seha. Karkarake kabalidi plan, family kabalidi plan, merokong le kabalidi plan. Maraha ubereka le batho ba tlhabang jaaka ditoro. o kry-a o tshaba le o bolela mara o manager. Batho ba ba tlhaba ba gogoma o modala o motikone ha o itse o tla reng. Order e teng mara ho e berekisa. Re tshaba ditshetlo tse di tletseng. Yaanong ge mo ha re lebella pila e bolela mo ka insolence, and then ya bolela mo hore Israel hire by the rivers of Babylon, they lost their intelligence. They used it to support the kingdom of Babylon. So le rona ka jeko, we no longer have intelligence. There's no longer support to the church. Re supporta Bradlossi, re supporta Mercedes, a ke re wena papa. Le nna ke na le and then nna ke na le di Mercedes o go re ilang, I'm sure ke tsa kwa bo 4. Ska re ka o jela setse. So, kore ka mantsama ere, had we not apostatized, wa bona ntho e ke sa irateng kore re le kereke ne ke bolela die maloba na irile breakfast ya bo mme ko gae kwa. Then after that re ja le bona breakfast. So re ja le bona breakfast. Ba bolela ka di problems ko dikolong. Mademona tletseng ko dikolong. Le bana ba ba kana setse nna di sango. La utlwa re he ka re le tshaba modimo. Bana ba lena ba ko kae? Same classrooms. And these things are getting worse. Mara ona le mothareng a re thomeng dikolo tsa rona re boloke bana ba rona. Ella ke bua ko ofising ba re he batho ba bana le ditšhelete mo kerekeng bana ba bona ba tsena ko bo St. Michael's, St. Mary, and then ka mošotle be le badala ba tsene dikereke. Ka le botse ka mošo ba ya boruti. Brethren, I think are planning in the light of counsel of the spirit of prophecy and the Bible. Amen. Kore ke tlhotlhotse ke soli kana soli ke go tselena maromonyane monne ne le mfana rena a opela baritone re ka opela ke lone bana wa jealous. So you know ntho e ntshwenyang ke hore for how long are we going to be paying lip service to things that we should be passionate about? How bala mola mo chapter 62 Isaiah 62 verse 7 ere ba lona ba ileng di watchmen, don't give God rest. Pray for these things to be so, because it's him who said they shall be so. Pray that they be so, and the Lord will answer those prayers. Maranal Tronolofat conference rona e gole. Eske ya nna conference ya rona es nanditio. Eske ya nna conference ya rena ya moya wa borabele. Inne conference ya batho ba ba ikokobeleditseng modimo, ba ba ikokobeleditseng emong ho emong. Me Bibele re, by this people shall know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Thank you. Amen.
Yeah. I feel like that. Thank you very much, President. Thank you. Now, I want another direction again. All what I'm going to request is just to have a prayer, a simple. I'm going to do now, but I don't know what happened. Just praying for the district and for the plan to be.
Sorry. No, all right. Thank you. Ararapela modimo a rona yo lerato modimo o tletse mmogo le botlhoko le megauhelo a re batlo ema mo re le generation ya kajeko re santse re ikutlwa maatla re bone maatla a rona a fela go sena ditholwana tsa gore re ne re phela re go phelela re go itse re a kopa modimo a rona le itse the zeal of the Lord will accomplish
that which the word has purposed. Re a rapela Modimo wa rona in your own way. Visit us once more with conviction and power of the Spirit. Help us to see, as the prophecies have directed us, the times in which we are living. Modimo wa rona, how all the establishment of this earth are really shaking and showing cracks that are irreparable. We ask, Heavenly Father, that we be sons and daughters of heaven, people with a prophetic voice, people who will salt in the earth and help to revolutionize it, positioning it in the eternal principles of heaven. That we should fear not what those who don't understand your word are fearing, but that we should preach hope because we have been enlightened by the divine light of heaven. Rapella district ya Shalom, by Tabili Bayona, Bahofi Bariri, Lady Tukulu, the Malapa Abupan this district, Leba Tabili, Mabakam Harau, Tatamaka Satan Mohagits, allow us to close ranks so that there be no gaps. Allow us, Heavenly Father, to deliberately accept each other with forgiveness and a sense of maturity that creates patience, to embrace others, to point them to a better way. Rarapela Modimo wa rona la batla kena mo tirelong ya selalo, o robele bona. Dikereke tse ba tswang mo go tsone di rokaganye o di phedise gape. Ka Kriste morena le moloko wa rona. Amen.